to the 40k Fireside podcast, where we discuss everything to do with competitive Warhammer 40k with your hosts Vic Vijay and David Gaylard. Okay, everyone, welcome back. Episode 67 of 40k Fireside. We are so happy to be here. This is a pretty special episode because how lucky are we, Dave, that
Dude.
our factions have got new codexes, same time, first tournament, here we go.
I was just thinking that too. I was like, how lucky is that? We're both like our exact factions, all that we're known for. Like we've launched all our stuff recently as well. And it's just like boom, first tournament, like it's a big one as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty sick.
This is a spicy one. 320 plus players over at Manchester Super Major. This is one of the biggest UKTC Super Major events. Do you remember how it went last year, Dave? What was?
I was not playing there last year, but was that Desolation Marine? Meta?
That was Desolation Marines, and I had brought Eldar to the one last year. So I managed to get through a bunch of Desolation Marines, got my 5-0, didn't make the cut because the Desolation Marines made the cut. So I'm here for round 2. Let's try it again.
Yeah, that's the UK meta. As soon as something comes out, boom, straight on it. Obviously, like so much has changed in that past year. When you think about it, right? Like that's kind of crazy.
Now we are the meta, Dave.
Are we the meta? Are we?
We are the meta at the moment. I would say.
There we go. We've got the meta things. We're going to be jumping into the faction breakdown, but before we go on with that, we've got a bit of housekeeping. A couple of really exciting things. We've got. Okay, you cover it for a second, Vic. I'm going to pick something up really quick.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so the main bit of housekeeping is talking a little bit about how we're doing this public side video with a member side video. We've got this main channel video, which we'll be doing in the same format we've always done. But people always ask us questions about our list, a little bit about how we deploy, how we play them, why we made the choices we made. And to complement us talking briefly about our lists in this, we've both done a members side video where we do a deep dive into our list, put it on TTS, show you a little bit about deployment and why each of the kind of unit choices were made for what reason. And we've both gone for kind of interesting, slightly innovative, different takes on our factions. So if you do want to know more beyond what we talk about in this video, the members side is a good way to kind of do that.
Yeah, I think probably Vic and I get like outside of our Discord, we probably get asked at least like 4 questions a day just from like people being like, hey, what should I change about my list? What are your thoughts about this? So Vic and I know for myself in particular, like I've kind of slowed down about talking about like all the public Discords because we have like our main channel where we talk like all the time. We have our Discord now has grown to it's over 100 people, I think, and we have like it's 100 well, it's 120 people 123 I think. We have like one of the best Discords. I tell you what, guys,
it's good.
We have like only a few it's quite minimalistic. We have only a few channels that we like obviously talk about on the podcast all the time. So we've got like Eldari, Guard, Sisters, Necrons, Grey Knights, and T-Sons, but the main channel is obviously Guard and Eldari. And man, the Eldari channel has like 100 messages a day, but there is a huge amount. Like, well, Vic and I obviously chat directly in there and help people out with lists, answer questions, like innovate ideas and stuff like that. It's a really, really awesome environment. It's like completely non-toxic. There's a great bunch of people playing like a range of different things. I know in the Guard detachment, the Guard channel, we have like people playing every different detachment. People are playing like Bridgehead, and there's a lot of good players in there as well. And the Eldari detachment is the same. We've got a guy who just does like spreadsheets as well, so shout out to him. The guy's a legend. I'm gonna get his actual name. He has
TJD, the Phoenix Lord of spreadsheets. what a hero!
Beast. So yeah, the Discord is fantastic. So if you are a Cadchan member, or if you're not even a member, do consider checking that out because it's really, really useful. We have also, I've got, this is what I was getting. I've got, can you see? I don't know if you can see. My camera's going to...
Oh, no.
Oh, here we go.
Dice.
Oh, that was an epic fail. Awesome.
Right.
We've got... There you go. You can hear it. There we go.
Put that next to your face, Dave.
A spicy dice roll. There we go.
There you go.
We've got dice to give away. We've got our first iteration of our dice done. So if you're a contender at Manchester come up to either Vic and I. We're going to have a bag of dice where you can randomly plunge your hand into and grab one. And if you show us on your phone or something like that, you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're a member, you can get a couple of dice. So come say hello to us at Manchester. These are probably going to go really fast based on the fact that we only have 60. So try and come up to us quickly. I suspect on Sunday we probably won't even have any left. So that's really cool. They look absolutely sick. They've got the Fireside chat on them and a little native 6 dice on them as well. So they look really cool. And we are going to be doing like a second iteration of them as well. So if you do want to purchase dice later on from us, we'll probably just do them. Do a lot once we're really happy with the design logo and everything. So there we go. That's all the housekeeping. Oof.
Oh, limited
Put that
run
away.
dice as well. Oh,
Ooh, yes, they look cool. I mean, there's so much stuff for us to do on that. We might do like
yeah.
a 2025 version, like a tournament. We might do like an LGT specific one. That'd be cool with just like LGT Fireside on it. That'd be awesome as well, like
Nice. Yeah.
2025 or
Yeah.
something. Plenty of cool stuff on that. So awesome. All right, Manchester, man.
Okay.
I have never played this tournament before. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
weirdly enough, haven't. I don't think I've gone up for it. But typically, Manchester has actually always been one of the ones where a lot of the top players actually turn up to. I think as
Yes.
well, right? It's very
Correct.
well represented with a lot of the strongest players in UK. So there's a good turnout of absolute top people at this tournament as well. So that's really good to see.
Yep. Absolutely.
But we've got the what we're showing there in the front picture. If you're listening on a podcast, we've got a graph with the faction breakdowns and percentages. So I guess there's nothing to do but just jump straight into it. Vic, 27
Yeah.
Eldari people and
Yeah.
27 Space Marines total. That's kind of lower than I thought on both of them. Maybe I don't
I
know.
mean, the Space Marines, that's the Codex Space Marines. There are other
Ah,
Space Marine subfactions which will be thrown in there. Whereas Blood
oh,
Angels, for
so
example,
Blood
is another
Angels
14.
14.
So there's loads of Space Marines.
Yeah. Okay.
There's
Cool. Yeah. That's why I
uh,
was a bit surprised.
But looking outside Space Marines, because it's normal for Space Marines to be the most popular, Eldari having 27, which is the next highest, is a lot,
Mhm.
and it's quite cool to see. I did
Yep.
get a few messages saying like, "Oh, Vic, why are none of the top players playing Eldari?" But we have got a few top players on it, but there hasn't been a mass shift for the top players over to
Yep.
Eldari. It's just been the people who play Eldari playing Eldari.
Hmm.
Um, so this is a lot of the community who love Eldar want to come back and jump onto it. I think
Yep.
maybe more than meta chasing. I have a feeling this is a little early to meta chase because we haven't really dialed
Mm,
down on what the best thing is in
for sure.
Eldari.
Yeah.
People are still experimenting all over the place. But interestingly, like notable players, myself, Tony Chu, and Ben Jones, we're all playing Yanari with a
Mhm.
very similar core, what looks like probably a very similar macro strategy to our game as well.
And you three
Which
guys have always been Eldar players anywhere as well, right? So that's
exactly,
always been
yeah,
like your main or like second faction too, right?
yeah, exactly.
But we
What about
haven't
the?
seen a lot of.
Hmm?
Well, I was going to say we haven't seen a lot of people jump onto Eldari, but I think you're
Mm,
also right in that it is quite complex to figure out. Like, there's been a huge amount of diversion of opinions around like what Eldari is better, and I'm sure we'll get into that later.
yeah, of course.
And if you think about it, we had Pyro Cup last weekend, which was also the list submission date. So it's
Mm,
not as if you could like see the results from Pyro, riff off of that, buy the models, get them for Manchester in time, right? Which is what if Manchester was maybe a week later list submission. Maybe I think there would probably be more players in there, right? They'd
at
have
least
another
more
weeks of
Yanari.
evidence. Yeah, more Yanari. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool. One thing that was really surprising is 22 Tyranid players as well. That is kind of
That's a lot.
crazy, right? That has just kind of come out of nowhere
That's a lot of
because
custodies as well, man.
oh yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
looking forward to Custodes.
Oh.
But yeah, Garda's dropped. I think it's fair to say. I don't know the last. What was the last breakdown of the last
I think
tournament?
they're around here percentage wise. They're like a tiny bit
Seems a bit
lower than
low.
before. Um,
Yeah,
I
I
think
guess
they
Nottingham.
were.
I suppose right. I
Yeah, I
haven't looked
feel
it up.
like they were almost the next one after Marines at some point.
I thought
But
there was one. Yeah, there was one where they were the first like non-marine one, right?
but the slightly bigger drop is actually Necrons, I think, coming down below Guard a little bit more notably here.
Yeah, because UK
Uh,
they're usually being quite popular as well.
but
Yeah,
all of these factions are still in the very top end of what's popular and being taken in the meta here.
for sure. And what I guess one of the big points is like we haven't got any armies that are around apart from Marine super faction. 14%, 13%, or something like that. I personally thought Eldar was going to be more popular than that. I thought it was going to be around that 13% mark. And I
Hmm.
actually thought Guard was going to be more popular. I thought Guard would be at like 10% mark. So I'm actually surprised that both of these are not more popular than
Hmm.
they are, which is, I guess, what is the take home from that? Is that it's not as immediately broken as people were hoping, right? Which is a good sign, I
Hmm.
think.
So I think with the Eldari, what was very interesting was watching people who, maybe don't naturally play Eldari a lot,
Hmm.
experiment and try them. I watched a bunch of TTS games and I heard a lot of comments like, you know what, I'm not sure I'm actually going to run this.
Yeah.
Um, and I can see that happening to a lot of people who aren't like, oh my god, I really want to play Eldar no matter what.
Hmm.
I think that's what we're seeing here with the 27 players. Eldar has always been a super popular faction. We're
Yep.
just getting all the players out of the woodworks now, so
Mm.
it's good, but it hasn't exploded as much as, like you said, you would have predicted.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what it is like, because there's another tournament. I think South Coast Super Major is like after,
Oh, okay.
in the end of this month, which I'll be going
Hmm.
to. So, although I've won that twice, I've run it every year it's existed with Guard. So I'm going to go back for a third
Awesome.
year with Guard. So we'll see what the numbers are there, for that one. I think that'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how these numbers trend, because UK, because the meta is a lot different now compared to what it was. I guess when other previous codexes have released as well, right?
Mm.
So like Custodes were definitely more popular when they got the Grotmist attachment, for example, right? Or like
Mm.
Necrons when they got Star Shatter, right? Were way more popular. And there are probably the same amount of Necron and Eldari players in the UK, like
Hmm.
popularity wise, right? That could swap. But we've seen Eldari not have that resurgence, well, surge, like Necrons has had. So there's something in there, right? That isn't just it's a bit more of a delicate game plan. As much as I hate to say it, but it's a different way of thinking about the game, really, isn't it? It's like how can you control space, and then I know when I was playing Eldari, it's more like, well, I kind of control this area and then I can shift from that to other areas rather than just
Yeah.
go down the middle into your opponent.
It used to be, and I think Pariah Nexus has turned that a little bit on its head.
Hmm.
That what you've just described there is probably Eldar's typical game plan,
Hmm.
especially when the game used to be 6 rounds. That used to
Mm.
be the go-to. Now we're playing in 5 rounds with a slightly different type of primary scoring and secondary scoring. You're kind of forced a little bit to play on more flanks than just one because
Hmm.
you don't have enough time to really push that particular strategy.
Yep.
So it's very interesting to see how Eldari players adapt. I think Eldari has all the strengths it needs to win even a tournament this big. It
Hmm.
just needs. I just don't think it's a given that it's
Yep.
it's really going to do that. So, Dave, did you get any of the sub faction breakdowns for Guard at all? Do you have that, or do you know the trend?
Yes. I do have it because I did it myself actually.
Lovely, because I
Uh,
have the Eldar one. So while you get that up,
cool.
uh,
Yeah.
the
Why don't you run through it?
Eldar player number is actually 29, so there's a couple more than what's on there.
Cool.
We've got the most popular is Aspect Host, of which there's 14, but
Cool.
there are still 10 Yannari, so there's still a
Oof.
lot of Yannari in there. So that's
Yeah.
24. And then we've got a little bit of Warhost. So Warhost probably what would have been the most popular faction on release, the sub faction.
And Warhost is the index attachment, right?
Exactly, with
Okay.
the
Cool. Yeah.
multiple kind of fire and fades in
Which is
there.
still pretty strong, right? Like if for example you don't want to deal with a new detachment, but you want to play
Yep.
your existing models, you can play the updated models in the same playstyle, right? Which is an easier transition when you're going to a tournament if you don't have a lot of time to learn new stuff, right?
I personally think Warhost is a real trap in competitive play.
Okay.
It forces you because the fire and fade mechanics are much weaker. You have
Yep.
more of them, but they're much less movement and a different timing compared to what the
Hmm.
index was. Leaning into that, you just don't have the right kind of stuff in your list, nor is this the correct mission format to
Cool.
favor that.
Okay.
So I think UK has adopted that much more than the USA.
Hmm.
And we've seen the Warhost number drop down to 3, which is very low out of the
Oof.
29, in my
Yep.
opinion.
So
Uh,
basically 10% of people were playing that.
there's only one player on Harlequins and only one on Spirit
Really?
Conclave. So
That's
this
kind
is
of surprising,
interesting.
actually.
And is
Yeah.
that zero Seer Council is very surprising.
That's kind of surprising,
Wow.
because Guard has at least one in every detachment. So the
Mhm.
majority of that is obviously Aspect Host and then Yanari. But I think between the
Mhm.
two of us, we suspect that the majority of that will go to Yanari eventually, right?
I don't think so, actually.
Okay.
I think these next few weeks are going to show some of the weaknesses in Yanari.
Hmm.
I think they're one of the most overhyped factions. by people who don't even know what the rules are, to be honest.
I mean, that's
Uh,
usually the case, though, right? Like,
like,
let's be honest.
I would love to ask a lot of Reddit commenters what is lethal intent, what is the Yanari army rule, and see them try to explain what that is.
Well, you've got
Uh,
three of them, man, so it's really hard.
yeah, it'll just be like, oh yeah, your whole army moves at the end of the opponent's shooting phase.
Yeah.
People will realize that it's not it's a very extremely powerful rule,
I think it's
but
probably one of it might be the best army rule in the game, if I'm being honest.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. It's great, but the timing of and the way you trigger it has counters once people realize
Okay, I thought the
when to do it.
timing of it was probably one of the best in the game as well. End of
And
shooting phase, I thought
end
was
of your
probably the
opponent's shooting
best.
phase
Yeah.
is very good, but yeah, you wait and see. I have a feeling people will
Okay.
realize that Yanari has some ways to lose here, but
Oh, well, of
I've
course, yeah.
leaned into it hard. I'm chasing the meta. I am the meta.
Filthy, filthy, mate. There was also over the weekend we saw Imperial Knights do really well, and I think that's definitely a resurgence against Eldari for sure, right? Unironically, I think Knights, especially Chaos Knights, are actually just good against Eldari, right? Like
Gosh,
just having a stat checky army,
I just
is
don't
good.
understand this,
You
to be
don't
honest.
understand it, really?
I really don't understand this because
Okay,
if you look at these numbers, there are 14 aspect host lists.
sure.
I would give you this. I think Chaos Knights are good into Yanari,
Okay.
but they are so bad into aspect host because Dark
Dark
Reapers
Reapers, yeah.
literally mince knights. You can easily kill 5 knights a turn with
Sure, yeah.
aspect host, and I
Yeah.
played the Chaos Knight game. The indirect fire does almost nothing from the
Yep.
Chaos Knights unless they
Yep.
get a little
Yeah.
lucky, and you will be able to shoot the Chaos Knights no matter where they hide.
Yeah.
So you'll end up tabling them in 3 or 4 turns no matter what. And
There is
even
still
Yanari, I have a feeling they get through Chaos Knights if you get the
okay.
momentum right.
I mean, there's still basically zero good Chaos Knights or Imperial Knight players in the world. Okay,
Well,
there's a couple in the
no,
world,
we have
but
some really good ones in the UK. I have to
really,
say that. Yeah, it's a few really good Imperial Knights players. You know
okay.
who you are, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of Imperial Knights players do really well at this
So it'll
tournament.
be interesting to see how Imperial Knights do in this tournament relative to the Cherokee Open in the USA.
Hmm.
I mean, I think in the UK we play pretty like aggressive, optimized, and efficient lists in general, which I think is quite good against Knights in particular.
Yeah,
I think our terrain format is a lot worse for Knights as well,
yep, I
because the
agree.
GW boards are a lot better for Knights. So
Yeah.
yeah, just an interesting point there
I
as well.
think overall output and optimization in our lists across kind of the entire tournament is a little higher,
Yeah.
which means that armies that are stat checks like knights can get picked apart.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so the breakdown for guard,
Mm.
I would like to say I've had a big impact on this, maybe,
Mhm.
but Hammer of the Emperor. So we've got, I think there was how many people we got? Like 21 players.
Mm.
So Hammer of the Emperor and Bridgehead both have 6 players. So
Oh,
I was actually
what?
surprised.
How a time?
Yeah, so I was actually surprised that Bridgehead had 6 players, to be perfectly honest. I
You thought
thought
that's
people
too
would have gone
high?
off that. No, yeah, I would have thought people would have gone off that. But Hammer Time proven to be a very early popular choice. And I think that makes a lot of sense when you think about it, right?
Mm.
It does have a quite direct game style. I know when we played, and I've played other games on like WTC terrain, I played them on GW terrain. The list just feels really nice to play. And I know that I was chatting in the team chat before list submission. I was like, guys, like, damn, I might just play Hammer Time, to be honest with you. Like, this list feels really good. And I would have probably just played exactly what I played against you with almost no tweaks. Like, I feel like that list is really powerful. And
Hmm.
in a meta that's kind of moving a lot, just having a direct and quite, there's a stat check element to it.
Hmm.
But having a direct aggressive game plan is really powerful, I think. If your opponent doesnm kill a Dawn the turn you play it aggressively, like they're in a really bad spot. So
Yep.
Hammer is really
Tell me about it.
and they're deceptively hard to kill as well. Hammer is really popular. Bridgehead's still popular. Mechanized Assault, which is what I'm playing, Mech Gang, 3 players. So I was actually surprised that I wasn't the only one playing it. But we've got
Mhm.
another person from our Discord, Katie Stands, is also playing Mechanized.
That's
And we've
good.
got 2 players on Combined Arms, which is the default regiment, which is actually quite good as well. So I'm not knocking that. 2 Recon players. I think Recon's awful, so best of luck with those guys. And 1 on Siege Regiment. So yeah, everyone being represented here, which is nice. It's it kind of makes sense that Bridgehead and Hammer are the most popular. We've got
Mhm.
Hammer, kind of the most direct way of playing, and the new detachments, and then Bridgehead being the existent dominant one as well. Hot take for me though, I don't actually think Bridgehead is all that good in the meta right now.
Oh,
That's just me.
spicy. Even
I
even
even
with the
hotter
buffs
take.
in the codex.
Okay, here's another hot take. I
Mm.
think the Scion change was actually a nerf.
Oh, what's going on?
Yep.
No, my
And if
mind.
you talk to a lot of Bridgehead players, and this is what I said when it released as well, I said, I don't know, man. I feel like reroll to hits is actually better because all of a sudden you drop your unit down and they smoke something, and you're hitting on like threes rerolling ones, and then you just miss some of your important shots. Then you don't like rerolling to wound doesn't matter, and you already had +1 to wound anyway. So that's just me. I mean, reroll to
Yeah,
hits with
yeah.
sustain is really good too. So
Oh, I'm
I
really
actually think it was a bit
sorry
of
to
nerf.
hear. Threes
Um,
rerolling ones. Oh, poor Dave.
or 4 rerolls. I'm not sorry to hear. I got so
Oh.
bored of that detachment. Oh my god, man, I'm sick of that. And we're like such an obnoxious playstyle as well. I really hated that. So, yeah, that's where we're at for guard. So I think hammer is definitely going to be something that will be in the meta. So be prepared to deal with stuff like that. Really aggressive lines of play with Tauroxes and stuff like that, which is really fun to play as well. But yeah, I ended up going with the mechanized, which I don't know if mechanized will be the most powerful, but I think it's the most fun to play. It's definitely you're strapped in to play 5 turns of Warhammer with mechanized, and you have like 5 transports, and your list just looks like a random pile of garbage, to be honest. So yeah,
Yeah.
why don't we jump into what we're playing though? What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Yeah,
Jump.
absolutely.
I'll bring up your list.
I
Here we
mean,
go.
oh gosh. Yeah, I mean,
Devoted of your need.
you know,
Whoa.
I sometimes I wish I could see the faction distribution before I write my list
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
there is so much chunky stuff at the top of
yep.
those faction distribution, and I'm amazed that Hammer of the Emperor is as popular as Bridgehead. You're not, but I am, so I definitely maybe missed that. But saying that, Dave, I'm
Mhm.
so happy with my list.
Oh, okay. So
Um,
you're in a good position. You feel like after the list has been revealed.
at the very last second, I switched the guns on my wave stepper from scatter lasers to bright lances.
Ooh, nice.
Master stroke.
Great.
So uh, my list is a Yanari list, but it's slightly different. Maybe some of the building blocks are slightly different from other Yanari lists you would have seen.
Yeah, you got
Everyone's
some
in
different choices in here, right?
everyone's in the experimentation phase, and there were a few ideas that were popping into my head. The number one idea is how good lethal intent is with transport. So lethal intent is if one of your units dies in your opponent's shooting phase. At the end of the shooting phase, you could pick any one unit in your army, and that unit can make a normal move. You can still
Hmm.
use the battle focus token. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, if I have a wave serpent with 2 units in and I lethal intent move that wave serpent, I move 3 units for the price of one. So let me lean into that. So
Cool.
my list is Ivrain as the warlord. I have no Yinkan in this list, and we have an Autark.
Incarn though, I wasn't a fan of the
Mm,
Incarn either. I know
yeah,
people
you
were
played
high on
against
that,
it, right?
but every time, I mean, I think you probably, whenever you saw the Incarn as well, did your first thoughts go back to, well, you teleport at once, they grenade tank shock you, and then they
Mm.
shoot you with some random stuff, and she's like basically dead after that.
Yeah,
That's that's how I
it,
remember her.
in my head, it's even worse now because she dies. She dies like this.
Yeah, she has
In
no
my
half
head, I'm
damage.
like, if someone has a Yinkan, the profiles look beautiful into Eldari, but I'm like, you teleport here. I don't care. You just give me a free
Yeah,
250 points. That thing is just
exactly. Yeah.
dying in a heartbeat.
And she doesn't have rerolls now. Like, oh my god, I just
Uh,
charged her with a tank. Was like, you can't fall back a charge, right? You're like,
Yeah.
no. I'm like,
It,
great.
it it doesn't really do damage. It also is not survivable. The only thing it's good at is causing a headache for your opponent, but it
Yep.
doesn't cause a headache if you just don't care about it. The
Hmm.
key to dealing with the Yinkan is to disrespect it.
Yeah.
And I think if I want to actually get far in this tournament, the players I'm going to play are going to disrespect the Yinkan, and
Yep.
it's going to eat up points that should be in a different place. So
Yep.
I've just gone with Ivrain in this list. We have an Autark and a Yunari Archon. The
Cool.
Archon has the enhancement for +2 attacks.
Nice.
Um,
So does that give him 8 attacks total?
it gives him 7 attacks.
Okay, 7. That's nice.
7 attacks. He also, instead of having his Vectora in Yanari, he gains reduce the CP cost by 1.
Okay.
It's worded different to the Autarch's one, so you kind of
Cool.
can reduce the
You
CP
get
cost with
both.
2 stratagems.
Nice.
The Archon and Ivrain are inside 2 battle line units. This is
Ooh.
the big variation because actually a lot of my list design was based around 3 Autarchs and 3 Howling Banshee squads.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yep.
kind of cut that down, and I have these little battle line units that are with Ivrain and the Archon. These units give me some OC-11 primary denial pieces that have a
Cool.
combination of shooting, grenades, and combat to allow me to deal with multiple smaller targets if I need to, rather than the Howling Banshees and the Fire Dragons, which just go for a single target.
Hmm.
And being able to properly primary deny things is quite powerful. You mentioned earlier, oh, people are going to have these Rogel Dawns, they'll put them on an objective. I struggled so much in our TTS game, Dave,
Mm.
to get your 6 OC off this objective if you use an order on
Yeah,
the
for
Rogel
sure.
Dawn.
Yep.
But now, yeah, I have a little bit more battle line now to work with.
Yep.
So yeah, we've got that. The Corsairs give reroll ones to Ivrain. The Cabalite Warriors can sticky objectives from inside of their venom, which is
Okay.
incredible with lethal
Really?
intent.
That's pretty good
Yeah,
with lethal intent. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and because they're split into 2/5s, you now have your backfield holder as well, which is sticky objective on
Mm.
your backfield. So
Wow.
overall, that little package with the Archon is superb value.
Yep. And you get to like put, I guess, all the special weapons in
Yeah,
the squad that goes in
uh,
the
the,
venom, right? So
there's 2 blast pistols, a blaster, dark lance shredder, and a splinter cannon in there,
cool.
which is a lot of decent shooting, especially
So it's
because
got
you
like
get
3 anti-tank guns, right? A blast pistol is the same as a blaster, more or less, but short range.
it's just D3 damage, so
Oh, okay, cool.
it's
Yeah.
quite a bit worse,
Okay.
but still
It's got a
still good.
blaster and a dark lance.
Yeah, it's decent,
Cool.
and you reroll ones to wound because you have the Archon there, or if you've lost a model, you reroll all wounds. So it's
Cool.
not bad at all shooting.
Yep. Nice.
Cool. So those are those 2 little packages. We've got 5 Rangers for secondaries, 5 Striking Scorpions, which start the game. Unless you have something in the early game that your opponent has to deal with, they'll just ignore your army for a turn and
Yep.
prevent you from using lethal intent for a turn.
And plus, you want one of these with like custodes, guard, and even marines like vindicators in the meta. You want to just move block an area of the board with no overwatch anyway, right? And
That's
if
it.
your opponent can't deal with that, then you can almost then just put a warp spider unit there, and then just
Yep.
put another warp spider unit there, and they're just never leaving that part of the board. So
Yep. Yeah, you
yeah,
can put them in
striking
jail.
scorpions, yeah, absolutely
I,
incredible.
I think you probably need 2 units of Striking Scorpions to properly do that, but I think
Yep,
1 is the absolute bare minimum, and
yep,
every Eldari army should have at least 1 Striking
yep,
Scorpion unit, in my opinion.
precisely.
We've got 2 units of Howling Banshees here with the Executioners. We've
Hmm.
got 3 units of Fire Dragons. I've gone for the Fire Pikes here. I am Team
Yep,
Fire Pike day 1.
team fire
Fire
pike.
Pike's the best.
Okay,
Um,
I'm for the record. I'm still fire pike twice, but I want the dragon fusion gun just on one squad. That's all I'm asking for. All on
in
one squad.
in Yanari, you can pretty much always get into Melter range.
Yep.
So mathematically, it's very close between the 2 options. But I am Team Firepike because a bigger pike is better than a little gun. We've got 3
It's
units of.
it's when you've got a bigger pike, it's easier to use. So
It's easier, man. I wound on 3s. What's the problem? So we've got 3 units of Warp Spiders. We've got no Autarch Wayleap, but my signature piece is
yeah,
missing
no,
from this list just
get
because
him out of here, mate. I
the
told you,
points
get rid of him.
the
Get
points
rid
were
of him.
so tight, and
Yeah,
something
fair
had
enough.
to give way here for me to get enough concentration of units.
Two
Um,
swooping hawks, though.
yeah,
That's
I've got
cool.
2 Swooping Hawks in here. I've been convinced by Team Poland.
Okay.
Just their general discussions. The
So,
Swooping
so
Hawks are not
how,
bad.
how have they changed? Because you can't up and down
Mm.
either more anymore, right?
You can't up and down them, but they've gained mortal wound grenade packs, basically.
Do you have to
Uh,
move over the unit?
no, you have to end within
Oh,
8 inches and visible.
that's
But
pretty
it can
good.
be at the end of an advanced move, and very interestingly, Dave, you can throw it into engagement range.
Yeah.
So it is a method of you digging yourself out of combat.
Okay.
Now, the list itself has quite a lot of mortal wounds anyway, because the
Mm,
2 little battle line units give you access to grenades, and Ivrain's gun is a lot of dev wounds as well.
cool.
So between all of these, you can deal with these heavier kind of melee targets like possessed and things that are sitting in the middle
Cool.
of the board, or Death Shroud Termies.
Cool.
The big thing about this is that these 2 units have taken the place of 2 more units of Dark Reapers in my list.
Right. Yep.
Because I found the Dark Reapers are quite inconsistent outside of Aspect Host, personally.
Yep. And you haven't even
Um,
got a Tempest launcher as well, right? You've just gone with
and
the 5 big guns, right?
exactly.
Which seems
And
the correct play.
this particular list is a little bit lacking on the long range shooting. So
Yep.
the missile launcher just gives you a piece which can add a bit of extra damage at range.
Yep.
And then we've got transports for days. So I've got triple wave
Yep.
serpent here to lean into that concept I was talking about, where we lethal intent to transport and allow the Howling Banshees or one of these battle line units to really get deep into the enemy lines
Hmm.
and create that differential on the scorecard. I am fully expecting my army probably to be dead at the end of the game,
Hmm.
but especially if we're playing a more active play style against each other. But I'm hoping that I can win on the scorecard.
Yep. Yeah, lethal intent is the best primary play mechanism that's probably ever been printed, right?
Yeah,
Or at least like
especially
I know
yeah,
when I was playing
absolutely.
like Aquilons, it's like, well, I can 3-inch deep strike. Like, and even in the movement phase, it was absolutely broken.
Yeah,
But like in the end of shooting phase, it's like, man, if you're a monophase shooting army, holy, like this
yeah.
is
This is
insanely hard to
pretty
hold
much
primary against.
unstoppable unless you choose not to shoot the Yunari.
Yes, yeah.
And even if you do that, it still there's a lot of good primary down. The army is still very fast regardless.
Well, it's hard not to shoot them when they have like striking scorpions on your deployment zone that are blocking. You know, like if
Yeah,
you're a
and
monophase shooter.
I
So,
mean, you
yeah,
have 3 units of warp spiders that move 26, so they're going to
yep.
get into spaces that the opponent has to deal with in some
Yep.
way.
Yeah, so, like, the combination of having a couple of cheap units, like Striking Scorpions and Rangers, on turn 1 that can force your opponent to have to shoot them is really
Mm,
powerful, right? Because then you get the lethal intent always, and, like, if you go lethal intent's pretty insane. If
mhm,
you go second and your opponent shoots something off the board, like, an unit of Striking Scorpions that you want them to kill because you want a lethal intent,
mhm.
like, your Wave Serpent is going, like, like, Star Cannon it as well, it's going, like, 18 inches or something like that, right? Before
Yeah,
you've even begun your turn.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
you can
and
just
then
disembark and then charge your deployment zone afterwards. So,
disembark, charge, move the wave serpent, tag something with the wave serpent, disembark something from the wave serpent.
yep.
You can basically end up tagging, move, blocking their army, and basically clearing their home objective as well. So
Yep.
this is incredibly the macro strategy on this army is incredibly clear, very powerful, and there's redundancy in the list. The fact that I've leaned into lots of wave serpents also
Mhm.
gives me a bit of coverage against some of the weaknesses of Yunari.
Yep.
Melee pressure can be a real challenge. Stat checks can be a real challenge. Leaning into your wave serpents allows you to get further up the board, basically, and
Mhm.
take that first hit a little bit better so you can engage properly
Yep.
with the opponent.
And, like, I know a lot of people have been really high on Wraith Lords, but a Wave
Mm,
Serpent is kind of like a Wraith Lord in, like, some way, right? Like, it gives you, like,
correct.
long range anti-tank shooting a little bit, right?
So
Obviously,
the
it's a
Wraith,
transport as well, though, so
Wraithlord has much more output, way more
yeah.
output. It's I don't think it's particularly tougher personally.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably the same because Wave Serpent's obviously -1 to wound as well, so
And the Wave Serpent leans into the army rule a lot better, in my
yep.
opinion. But UKTC does have a rule where your models, as long as the base is wholly on the board, the hull can be overhanging the board. That
Yeah.
makes a big difference to playing 3 Wave Serpents here because you can actually hide completely in your deployment zone with at least 2 Wave Serpents.
Yep.
And the movement pathways you get with Lethal Intent are much better if you can hang half your model off the board. So
Yep.
much more powerful in the UKTC, I think.
Yep. Nice. Awesome. And if you want to find out more about like Vic's list, his deep run, like the way that like here's the I've always said this to my clients is like here's the how, right? Here's the what, sorry. But you need to know the why. Like you can take this list and bring it up, right? But you need to know why the units are taken, right? And when you understand the why, like Vic will give you the rundown for, then you'll
Yep.
understand this unit's for that, this unit's for that. This is the turn 1 play, this is the turn 2 play. Once you've
Yep.
achieved this like macro strategy on turn 2, then you move on to this part, which is the why. Knowing the why is so much more important than the what, especially in
Yep.
today's meta, I find.
So we've both done a 30-minute kind of deep dive into that. And there's quite a lot of discussion on the Discord channel as well about the list. So
Hmm.
make sure you kind of check out the video. And, if you really like that stuff, the Discord at the Phoenix Lord level is the one to go for.
So, do you regret not submitting Aspect Host? Do you think,
Um,
given that
I
you've seen all the lists and stuff like that now?
I am very excited to use Yanari here because
Yeah,
I think if I actually want to win this tournament, I need to score quite high, and I think
yeah,
Unari scores much higher than Aspect Host. Looking at it purely based on the meta here, I think Aspect Host actually does a little bit better into this meta.
okay, yeah,
But I'm not unhappy with my choice here because
yeah,
sure I might go 5-0 with an Aspect Host list, but I'm getting like 50 points even on my wins.
sure,
It's not going to work for a tournament of this size with this format.
yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. Nice, awesome, man.
All right, Dave.
Yanari looking pretty strong.
Yanari done. Now let's get on to the real spice.
The real spice, what?
Oh,
You know me, I'm kind of like getting a little bit older now, so I don't really mind if I play something that's
Dave.
like not the best in it. So,
Oh
I'm
no.
playing something that I thought was gonna be really fun to play, like genuinely. No, I said probably in my masterclass, and I said like repeatedly, probably everywhere I've talked about is that I still think Bridgehead is probably the most powerful detachment, but man, is it boring. So I didn't want to play that. And you know me, I like to make my mark on like the first time something comes out. Like for example, when Necrons first came out, I was playing Awakened Dynasty instead of playing the ultra busted 16 mortal wound, clearly needed an FAQ, what was it called again? The Canoptic Court build, right? Because I was like,
Hmm.
no, I want to play something different. So, when something drops, I usually like to play something different. So, I actually played this on stream on 6++ game. A list pretty similar to this, and I was kind of happy with it. So, yeah, I'm playing mechanized assault, um,
Oh,
which is the army rule is +1 to wound if I disembark from a transport.
nice.
Awesome. Like it's not the strongest, but it's the stratagem suite that really like allows you to like build around it. I mean, the army rule is fine, like +1 to wound if you disembark, but the stratagem suite is really like it's got, I would say, probably six. It's got one S class stratagem, two S class stratagems, and like four A's, right? So like very flexible. And it's the only guard detachment that's actually quite good against combat armies, which is
Mm.
a bit of a weird thing to say. So some of the good strats are you can reactive move your transport if they move within 9, which is really powerful,
Mhm.
especially against combat armies because you can like play an aggressive line, they move, and then you reactive move it backwards onto an objective. Then you've got 4 rerolls to hit and wound if you disembark from a transport and you shoot someone on an objective.
Oh,
So that with Ogryn basically kills like that will kill basically like a Vindicator if it doesn't have
oh.
cover. So that one there for 1 CP is very, very, very good. And so between those two, you get a lot of play. There's also like you can advance, you can make another normal move after a D6 normal move after you disembark, which is pretty like that's just flexible. And then you've got like re-embark in a transport and stuff like that. So really cool and really fun. And you're definitely strapped in for playing 5 turns of Warhammer when you're playing a list like this. It's
Mhm.
scrapping on all the points. It doesn't have like the aggressive lines like like Hammer has, right? Like Hammer is like sweet, drive your Drogodorn through the wall, like shoot into their like ruin, and then they charge you and tag you, then you fall back and shoot, stuff like that. But it's got some still aggressive lines because the Tauruxes in here are quite good as well.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, let's go through the list. So everyone thought he was dead, but Lord Solar, classic David Gaylard, just playing him by himself.
Let's go.
6-inch, no Voxcaster here, mate. He's actually quite good now. In Hammer of the Emperor, I still play him as well. And so this detachment is quite CP hungry because you've got a lot of good chances to use it. So yeah, just 2 CP every turn, really good. But I'm also playing Ursula Creed, so I've got free strat on top of that. Now the app has it as turn based. You can use it. In the codex, it was battle round.
Mhm.
So another awkward point of the app is the single source of truth. I don't know how hard it is to just quality, check your app release, but okay. Side comment. I've got the Rogel Dawn Tank Commander. This guy is just in basically every single list. So if you're going to go to a tournament, probably have an answer for this type of profile somewhere in your list, because it's really common. It slots into like every single list really well. I've gone with the Stubbers, so I've got 18 shots for get tagged in combat, which is nice.
Nice.
Cadian Shock Troops, just I was playing Catachan Jungle Fighters, but I just wanted the sticky as well. And they utilize a little bit better with the firing deck. Now I've gone with the Flamer and the Plasma Gun, so a little bit of subtle guard spice right there.
Mhm.
Then I've got 3 mortars, so I am going into playing the 3 mortar Creed package, which today is just really efficient. I think this is probably a good target for a nerf where they could go up to 60 points. But mortars are not like a shutout win against Eldari, to be honest.
Not at all.
Like I think each mortar kills an average of like 1.6 aspect host, like aspect warriors or something.
Mhm.
So it's like between 3 mortars and Creed, you can kind of kill like 5 models. But
Mhm.
most of the time, you're going to shoot, probably not kill a squad. Then you're going to have 2 models remaining. They're going to have an Exarch on 1 wound. You shoot the mortar, you hopefully kill one. You shoot the second mortar, you hope to kill another. Like that's actually where they're a lot better. And they screen the backfield out.
Yeah,
So they
backfield's
don't do
great.
like an oppressive amount of damage, even if you
Mm.
think like Eldari would just be under insane attrition. Like it's not really as
Yeah.
bad as it seems.
Mhm.
Okay, 2 units of Kassakin. Some of my best painted units in my collection, so I'm really excited
Nice.
to get these out again. Meltamine is going to be good in this meta, I think,
Mm.
but obviously just +1 to wound. They can order themselves now, so they got a lot better. Like they got a lot more reliable. So you can drop down, order yourself +1 to hit, and then you can naturally be +1 to wound. Lord forbid they're on an objective, then you absolutely rinse them. But
Mhm.
even if they're not on an objective, like you're hitting the melter on 2s, you're wounding on 4s, and you can chuck a grenade melter mine. They're a good like candidate for just anywhere in the game right now. And if you go second, you could do all that, then on their turn flip them to +1 save, so just a 3-up save after that. And like this detachment does have transports, which I'll get to, so you can fall back into the firing deck, which is kind of useful as well. Okay, 2 units of Kaskin. Pretty sweet. I've got 2 units of 5 Krieg Engineers. Originally, I wasn't super high on these guys, and I don't play them in every detachment, but I've got a Unit 5, a Unit 5, and primarily that's because they can help you dig out vehicles. They actually combo with the Kaskin really nicely. On average, you can kill a Rhino if you get the remote mine off before the Kaskin actually shoot. So you can drive up to an objective 12 inches away with the engineers, hopefully remote mine it, then grenade, melt to mine, the tank should die, then you can shoot after that. So quite a good package there. The 10 mans are really nice though, because they have like a 4-up save and you can get them larger. But I really hate having one unit of these guys and relying on that, because you just fail a 3-up and then obviously it doesn't work. So yeah. Okay, 2 units of Krieg heavy weapon teams. These guys are really, really, really good, and we're going to go over some lists later, and I'm going to show you why they're really, really good. They're certainly good into like Marines, that's for sure. You can just like drive these guys into a deployment zone on turn 1 and disembark them, flame people with +1 to wound, and then overwatch someone, and they crank out huge damage. So I really love these guys. I think they're awesome. 3 units of Ogryn. A unit of
MVPs,
10.
these guys.
Ogryn are good in this attachment.
Oh, yes.
Unit of 10 Ratlings as well. These guys, I don't know if they're the best, but they fire and fade outside of a transport. And they just proc +1 to wound every single time. So yeah, they're pretty good. They get 9 shots at 422 +1 to wound, and they get 1 shot at like a D6 las cannon +1 to wound. So
Decent into Marines.
yeah, you can fire and fade them too. So like they're in a transport basically the whole time. So they kind of like give your transport firing deck 10 in some ways, and you can actually like move, shoot, and then move block with them because they make a normal move after they shoot. So pretty good. All right, now we've got the absolute spiciest of spice,
No.
the triple flame of Vanquisher.
No.
Um, if you want to check out my rundown of the list, this unit is surprisingly very, very good. By the way, well, it should be surprising because I'm taking it. The Vanquisher is pretty damn good, man. I mean, it's 145 points for basically a Ballistus Dreadnought type model, right? You just park it on objective and you sit on there, and like you don't care if they tag you in combat. You have 3 heavy flamers. Obviously, it's pretty good against Eldari as well, right? Like
Oh,
you could just
so good.
flame someone with Overwatch. So it gives you another Overwatch piece. Like this army has a lot of Overwatch between basically it's got like 7 platforms which are really deadly. 2 Chimeras with the Flamers, of course, and then 3 Tauroxes as well. So yeah, I've got 5 transports in total. I've got 3 which let me advance and disembark, and I've got 2 Chimeras which can chill back on the firing deck a little bit. I did cut the 4 rerolls enhancement with the engines here, but yeah, I just didn't really feel like I was getting a lot of value out of it. That let me get a second engineer unit as well. So a little bit more like redundancy. I'm just trying to hit the 3-up. Like if you play against orcs, for example, they've got like a killer unit. You definitely want to try and pop that transport, and then like have your Kaskin be able to shoot into that with +1 to wound, especially if
That's
they're not on
massive.
wide turn as well. So being able to like get tempo plays against people is really powerful. Yeah, that's the list. I'm
that
pretty excited about it. Yeah,
23 units?
23 units in this
Whoa,
list. Yeah,
spicy.
number of units 23.
Number
Come
of
at me,
units.
and I've got 3 redeploys as well, so I should have the
Yeah.
upper hand.
5 points to spare as well. What a hero.
Oh, mate, couldn't
Beautiful.
optimize that last 5 points. It's probably, like I said, it's probably not the best, but it's really, really fun to play. I like I said as in the team chat, I was really like, I don't know if it's the best for this tournament because realistically, you need to score a lot of points. So maybe Hammer was going to be better if I just get a good run of opponents and I can just run people down with Hammer of the Emperor and play aggressive. But there are some aggressive lines on this list as well. But looking what other top people took, I think it lined up really well in the long run against
Yeah,
everyone else.
you're still happy with that looking at the top of the meta?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, we'll go over a couple lists later, which are 2 Blood Angels lists, which this list is quite good against for sure. The reactor move is very good against combat armies, for example,
Nice.
and a lot of the boards that we play on UKTC right now, like Search and Destroy, is pretty close range. So you just move your transport, disembark, shoot people on objectives against the tankier stuff. It doesn't have a lot of long range shooting, but hopefully
How
try
about
and get around that.
against
List is good.
big knights and things? How do you feel about that?
You've got okay, big knights, for example. You've got +1 to wound, which is pretty solid against them. If they're on objectives, it's quite easy to line up like your full rerolls to hit and wound against them because they're going to want to put at least one thing on objective every time. So you can very easily line up the disembark +1 to full rerolls to hit and wound on them. So the 3 Ogrins are quite good against that. Then you've just got you've got a Vanquisher, which is not terrible, obviously. But then you've just got 2 units of Engineers and 2 units of Kaskin.
Mhm.
Both these guys, once they disembark from transports, do a lot of damage to mech targets.
Mhm.
So that's kind of nice there. And there's a lot of custodies, so hopefully just a melter mine, grenade, remote mine can almost kill like a dreadnought just by itself.
Yep.
And that'd be pretty sweet. You can even the venerable dreadnoughts, because they get back up. You can even save the melter mine and then melter mine it when it gets back up in the shooting phase, in the fight
Mhm.
phase, and then you've killed it again on top of that. So
Nice.
yeah, it's pretty resilient, but it can lack in some areas. But I think it's got quite a good game against Eldari, which I thought was going to be quite popular as
I
well.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, like being able to reactive move from fire dragons is quite big. Just
Mhm.
getting outside of shooting range or outside of the melter range is quite nice.
And that's
But then
any
you
vehicle can do that. Your transports.
just the transports, yeah.
Ah,
So the
okay.
Big Dawn and the Vanquisher can't. The
Got it.
Vanquisher can Overwatch, but you can ignore that. But then you've just got 5 transports, so you're kind of good against Bridgehead because you have a lot of transports. And
Mhm.
then hopefully against like some of these other builds that like combat armies, you're just in transports, so they attack a transport. You're like, okay, cool, that's great. Then you just disembark out of combat and then shoot them afterwards.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, super happy with what I submitted in the end. It's a really cool list. I think I'm gonna have a blast playing it, and yeah, jump on some points,
Let's
get
go,
some primary.
Dave. Both of us. We're both playing transport heavy. Look at
Yeah,
that.
I know, right? That's weird how
Interesting.
that worked out. Were
Yeah.
you worried about Bridgehead more than you think, given the breakdown in total?
I just feel like transports in general are quite strong in the meta at the moment.
Yeah.
They just take a lot of pressure off you. If you have any kind of good transports, if they can
Yep.
somehow synergize with your rules, that's the time when you really lean into them.
Yep.
And
Plus, I guess in the mirror
Mhm.
matchup, they're quite good, I suppose, as well, right?
They're good in the mirror, and I feel like they're very helpful against melee pressure. They maybe give me a chance against Slanesh as well. I'm really lucky that Slanesh is
Yes.
not popular here,
Thank
to
God,
be
because that
honest.
is not one of my good matchups.
Yeah, Slanesh are just really good, and I have
Yeah.
not brought the Incubi brick, which provides an answer to that
Yep.
matchup. So yeah, I kind of got away with that, but the transports were a little hedge against that as well because I think
I'm
they do
very,
help.
very, very glad that there is almost no Slanesh because that army is quite good against mine. And actually, those really super heavy stat checky armies can be quite a problem for me because I can't necessarily like dump like 15 Deathwing Knights. I don't really want to see
Hmm.
because I can't like dump enough damage into them consistently. But yeah, so worked out okay there, which is nice. 15 Deathwing
Nice.
Knights probably not a bad pick in today's meta, maybe, but
Oh
yeah.
gosh, I don't know.
Do you think you're fine into Deathwing Knights?
You know what? When you have an army that has a good strategy to try and win the game, regardless of what's put up against it,
Okay.
I almost feel a little bit more confident than what I was trying to do with the Index Eldari, trying to like, oh, I've got to
Yeah.
kill my opponent to be able to win the game. I
Yep.
don't necessarily need to do that in this
Yeah, you
case
could just
because
score primary.
Deathwing Knights are pretty low OC, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's not such a huge issue.
Yep. Nice. Yeah, it feels good having a like actual macro strategy where you're like, if you
Mhm.
shoot me, I can just jump on the point and then I get
Yep.
primary. And
Yep.
if you can't deal with that, you
And
can't deal with that.
I'm telling you, I'm scoring secondaries better than you are. So yeah, the
Yep.
clock is on you.
Nice. That's a good position to be in. Awesome. So like I said, we have deep dives on our list, obviously, and we'll do like a deep dive post recap and stuff like that in the members section. So do feel free to check that out afterwards. I think we'll probably cut to a break and
Oh
then
yeah.
let's go for some top players, look at what they're playing, and lists that we're probably a little bit afraid of. And then we've got a bunch of questions on our Discord from our members that we're going to be getting into. And then I think we'll probably also chat about like what we think are the top armies in the meta right now,
Mhm.
stuff like that as well. So plenty more to come. Focus on the meta, what we think is best, and everything like that. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Make sure you check out our other content on YouTube at 40k Fireside. We also have a YouTube member section with exclusive content on 40k strategy, tactics, and faction deep dives. For more information on our one-to-one coaching and masterclasses, get in touch with links in the description. All right, we are back. I'm just going to pick up on a member question really quick.
Oh
Appa
yeah.
asks, if you couldn't play Guard or Elder, what would you bring? So I guess the question there is, which of these lists at the tournament do you like that you would be playing if you couldn't play what we were going to play?
Oh, Dave, have you got an answer at the top of your
I've
head?
got an answer. Yeah, yeah. Because
Dude,
there
go
was
for it.
actually a list that I lost to that I thought was very, very strong
Hmm.
before this tournament. So I've got an answer. If you want me to give you my answer
This
first,
is little bug boys.
it's the old. No, no, no. It's Gene
No.
Stealer Cult.
Yeah, yeah, the little
Host of
bug boys.
Ascension. Oh, Bug
There
Boys.
you
Right. Yeah.
go.
This list is really good.
Mm,
Host of Ascension is just really powerful. It's a nice skew. Ennis Wilson is playing this, and I'm assuming his list is just really good if he's submitting it again. He's been playing Gene Stealer obviously for ages and swapped in and out of it. It's got one, two, three, four, five neophytes, so it's like 140 models all up or something. It's got some Reductus Saboteurs, which can bomb you if you go in range of them. So that's kind of good against little aspect warriors as well. So this is probably what I would play. I think it's a bit off meta and no one's really taking for it. And it can hit surprisingly hard. And if you hit your charges from Deep Strike, oh my god, this army is a nightmare. Oh, I just realized I wasn't sharing it. Awesome. It has exactly what I just talked about in that list right there. So
yep. Yeah, yeah.
that's exactly what it has. Yeah.
Sure.
What
Fantastic.
about yourself?
I mean, I would probably. There's not very many of my armies which are actually good. So I feel like this would be the right time to dive into something different.
Okay.
It would either be CSM or I just make an army of Slanesh demons.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Slaanesh
think
demons. Yeah.
that just adds up. I've always, I have a little thing for Slanesh. It's
You
there.
do,
It's
you
always
do.
there in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
Little Slaneshi demons. So yeah, waiting for Emperor's Children. But in the meantime, I probably would have gone for the little Slaneshi boys. Yeah,
Slaanesh demons is actually broken, by the way. That army is
I think
pretty
so.
busted.
It's pretty
Like
good.
like it's quite straightforward once you learn like the couple of tricks you need to know against a few armies.
Mm.
But oh my god, that army is very hard to kill and has so much damage. And yeah, I think people overcomplicate it a bit too much. Just gambit every single time.
Hmm.
So like, but I guess not many people playing Chaos Demons, right?
Uh,
I remember looking at it and I didn't see anyone that I was like, oh, they're on that. I think
yeah, it's
Michael
pretty.
Hooper is probably playing it. I would suspect he's playing High Daz models. And yeah, basically, he is one of the players playing Slaanesh Demons. And he has an awful list format. Um, Only one unit of Sixth Fiends, though, and he has
Oh,
three
slight.
big keepers.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
Normally
Oh, he's
there's like
four keepers,
it's
sorry. Oh, right. Sorry, yeah.
normally it's two keepers plus lots of fiends, right?
Yeah, yeah, plus 3 units of fiends. Yeah,
Yep.
and a couple of
Okay.
chariots, stuff like that. Okay,
Interesting.
cool. So I'm happy to see less fiends, but that's just me.
Yeah, maybe we got away with that one.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'd play. We had basically another question here, which is a good kickoff. Is like, um, what do you hope like we like gets changed in the meta? So
Oh, okay.
maybe the question here is like, what do you think should get changed, Vic, before I'm assuming we're gonna have some kind of balance update like after Manchester is what I'm
Mhm.
assuming. So what do you hope is kind of in there, given that we haven't got any tournament results like so far?
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, there are things that will happen and things that will not happen. Starting with Ultramarines, because that was the first one in Aether's question there. Ultramarines, they really shouldn't be getting the +1 to wound from Oath, in my
Yeah,
opinion. But I would keep every other rule the same if they just don't get the +1 to wound from
sure.
Oath. Or if they are going to keep +1 to wound on Oath, I think there probably needs to be some look at Calgar and Gilliman's CP generation
Yeah,
stuff
get a
going
lot.
on
Yeah,
there because it's a little busted.
yeah. Maybe Ballista's Dreadnoughts go up a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean they just overbuff the army across the board a little bit without
Yeah.
really taking care to do it in any kind of slow manner.
Yep.
So to bring it back down, I think because Ultramarines are the poster boys of Space Marines now, it's very unlikely that they don't stay in the limelight here. So I'd be very surprised if they get any changes at all. But
Hmm.
they could probably do with a little bit of toning down.
Okay. What about guard? Bridgehead, I think you want to see some changes there, I presume as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see it done either with rules or points, but I would like to see the points go up a little bit on Scions.
Okay. On silence.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, there are probably a bunch of things that need to go up in points
Yeah.
to go a little wider because I think yeah, as you can see here already, people are able to side grade off Bridgehead. I think Guard are probably going to get off really well because Bridgehead have taken all of the attention. When I
Yep.
think there are a lot of really good options outside of that. So I think there's still going to be a few months of really good stuff with Guard, but Bridgehead's probably going to get targeted.
You would assume
Uh,
so, right? Like it's
yeah,
been
I
quite
think
strong
so.
for like a while now. Like
Yeah,
since since the Grotmas. And actually like if you think about it, like we're gonna chat about I guess Slaanesh Demons is also up there, right? Which is another Grotmas detachment. So I
hmm
guess since we've had the Grotmas detachment update, we haven't had like an actual game update, right? So I
hmm
assume a lot of that stuff is going to be targeted at like the Grotmas stuff. Like I would be surprised, be personally, if like the Eldari and Guard Codex got significant changes because obviously
hmm
they've just been released.
yeah,
So, like,
I
I
think
guess the
so.
Grotma stuff is like front of mind probably, and there's obviously a bit of lead time as well, right? So, like, these codex have only just come out. So,
What do you think? What would you do with Bridgehead?
what was the bridge hit? I would make the 6-inch drop 2 CP at a bare
Oh,
minimum.
oh,
Um, I would make the real ones. I would take that off indirect. You'd have to be visible to the model. I think that makes a lot of sense.
mhm.
So that basically, like your mortars and bombast field guns aren't like fours rolling ones for the indirect fire. Krieg got the nerf there. I mean, I would bring the Taurox up 5 points, but I would also bring the Chimera down 5 points, and I'd bring the Taurox Prime down 5 points just to bring those transports in line with each other. The Taurox is quite good. I think Engineers are in a fine space. I don't think Scions actually need to go up, but that's probably the changes I would make. I think maybe the uppy downy could go to 2 CP, maybe
You
because you
know
get a lot of
what?
CP on the army.
The uppy downy, when I first read it, I was like, wow, that's so cool. You need to be near a Valkyrie to go back up in the sky. I
What? No.
wish that's actually what it was.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Just make the
That would have
Valkyrie
been
not
so
190
cool.
points. I want to take a Valkyrie. I would take a Valkyrie mechanized, but
No.
190 points is way too much to ask.
Yeah,
It has like
how the
two guns, man.
how are they getting back up in the sky?
Mate, they're
Explain that to
Elysian
me.
drop troops.
Yeah,
They got jump
drop,
packs.
not jump, you know?
This is true. That's a good point. But you know what? I don't actually think Guard is as strong as people give it credit for. This weekend, do you know what the Guard win rate was this weekend?
I think 50-ish?
45%.
45, and I think it was 51 on Bridgehead, wasn't
Yeah.
it? hmm
51 on Bridgehead. And if you look at a lot of Bridgehead matrices for teams and stuff like that, if you look at Pyro Cup results,
Mm.
Bridgehead was not even one of the top 4 or 5 armies.
Yeah, it did fine,
So
but not the strongest for sure.
right, yeah, we had like I think Arn was the best player, and his results were like 10 to 13s.
hmm
And on top of that, that's obviously in a team setting, right? Where Arn is obviously a very, very, very excellent player, and could have been getting set up there as well. But this is a lot of matchups that you just kind of lose to. You're just like, oh, they've got a lot of stuff, and they went first, and they jammed me. Like, oh, great, like, damn it, I
Yep.
have to play my 100 model army like and try and zigzag around and move block you. But
And a
so
really interesting one is just how good Yanari is into Bridgehead has
right.
slowly become apparent through discussion and
Yeah,
seeing it
which
on
is
the board.
strange, isn't it? Because a lot of people would have thought Bridgehead just like annihilates them with the 6-inch drop and whatever, but being able to just move after you
Yeah.
shoot is massive because you have
Yep.
to shoot them.
Yep.
And then you get to put a Wave Serpent, no Overwatch, and you can blend guard units like no tomorrow,
Yeah.
tag
You
up their
get
Scions, they can't do anything, and then it's all over. So
yeah, yeah, you get a
um
lot of momentum in the mid game with Yanari versus them. So yeah, Yanari
exactly,
been
yeah.
getting big wins against Bridgehead.
Yeah, so in fact, I think Eldari did surprisingly well against because every single guard player at Pyro Cup played Bridgehead. And I'm going
hmm
to say this now, but you're a bad guard player if you played Bridgehead at Pyro Cup. I'm just saying that now
Oh, that's
because
all of them.
exactly like
That's
why
all
would
of
you
them. Yeah.
think you go to a team tournament, right? When you could just pick an army where you take big tanks and you play on light board. You get that every single matchup. Why would you not just play that? It's completely beyond my mind. Like almost zero innovation seen to that tournament in the guard
Well,
scene, which
what
was
what I
disappointing.
would say is that a lot of the people who are maybe playing guard on the international level are not natural guard players.
Yeah,
There
for
are
sure.
very
Yeah.
few in the world, really. And you and NASA are two of the best. So we've got them both concentrated here. So your insight's going to be a little more developed, maybe, than what
And
these teams are
Nassim and I were
taking.
actually chatting about garden teams, and I know what his list would have been if he was going to the tournament, and I know
hmm
what my list would have been. It probably would have been something very similar to the Hammer list, and his was
Yep.
the same style of guard team list in that, but maybe in something else, right? So,
Sure. Yep.
yeah,
Makes
interesting
sense.
deep dive about guard there.
hmm
It's it'll be interesting to see where it lands in the meta and what cops the nerfs, but. I think
hmm
once Bridger gets nerfed a little bit, I think it'll be in a really really good spot actually.
Be really interesting, I
Maybe the
think.
Dawn go up a little bit.
I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of Yannari nerfs, because that was also in this question,
Yep.
I think Eldar are in a really interesting position here. I would like to see a few little tweaks to
Okay.
make a couple of things a little more intuitive with Eldar. You know, there are a lot of models which are missing keywords. There's a lot of models which have grenades clearly on the models that do not have grenades all of a sudden. There's certain models who've been every single aspect warrior who don't have the aspect warrior keyword, which crushed
Yeah.
my soul. But in terms of actual nerfs, I think the Yannari lethal intent rule could maybe not be on transports. That's maybe a good idea. Like vehicles, it's just
What if
limited
you
to
capped the
infantry.
movement of it at like
I,
8 inches?
I like having the full movement. I think because
Yeah, no
the
shit.
rest of like the rest of Yannari's rules are like okay.
Okay, yep.
Once you kind of knock it down too much, there's almost no reason not to go to aspect host, in my opinion. So I
Okay.
want it to still be viable in there without clearly being the strongest thing. I actually think the single best thing you could do is not touch anything else, but just make it so you can't use battle focus tokens with the Yannari lethal intent. Immediately knocking
Yeah,
d6
yeah.
+1 movement or +2 movement off it
Yep.
makes a huge difference there,
Yep.
without completely crippling the rule. So
Yep.
that would probably be the most elegant fix, I think.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's a bit too early to jump to conclusions about how it should be nerfed and if it should be nerfed as well. I think,
Mhm.
my genuine opinion, I don't think it's the best army in the game, and I think that the lethal intent is a pretty feels bad rule in general.
Yeah.
So I don't think, from a balance aside, I don't think a rule like that should get printed. And
Mm.
Aquilons were very similar as well, like 3 inch rapid ingress, whatever, right? Shoot in your turn, rapid ingress on points, stuff like that. Move in your phase more than you're moving. Like, I don't think that is like, when I played with that, the next tournament super major, I was literally like, I'm not even going to go play this because it's so busted. I'm just going to wait until this is nerfed. So from a feels bad players, like, it's,
Yeah,
you know,
I see. There's no stopping it. It's
yeah,
inevitable.
yeah.
Like the
So
god of
it's
death. See, it's all tying in together, Dave. This is perfect, and actually, it's very satisfying as the actual Eldar player. I have
I'm
to say,
assuming, yes,
I have to
yes.
say, it's very satisfying.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you shot me in. Oh, okay. Well, I'm just gonna move this thing right here, 14 inches or 18, and I'm charging a home field point. Great.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
yeah, really powerful. Yeah. So I guess, what do you think is at the top of the, like? What about Orcs and Slanesh? I mean, I think Orcs, Slanesh are at the top of my list for like best armies in the game right now for
Yeah,
sure.
I'd say Tactical Brigade is really good. It's very
Yep.
strong. All of these armies do have things they lose against, except maybe Slanesh. Slanesh is
Maybe
just good
Slanesh.
across the board.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see Brian's list. I don't know if you're able to get it
Yes.
on the screen.
Let's. Why don't we start looking through some lists right now?
Hmm. We always get
Brian.
Brian's lists on these things.
Of course. I'm going to
Oh,
be playing a game against Brian
mhm.
this week, actually, and we're going to
Oh,
have
are you a
a
little practice one?
members. Yes, and we're going to have a members breakdown video on it afterwards.
Fantastic. Is that before Manchester or after?
This is before Manchester on Thursday.
Oh,
We're going to be playing.
I need to
So
watch that. Do my
yes,
research.
we're
Fantastic.
going to be playing our actual list as well, so that'd be fun.
Oh yes,
Um,
guys,
I'm,
you are. That's
I'm
a
probably going
really
to get
good
stopped.
one. No, I don't know about that.
So Brian's got two beast bosses, Big Mech, Big Mech. So the three kind of Big Mechs with shock attack gun. Oh, three Big Mechs with shock attack gun, and then the Big Mech and Mega Armor, which goes to the 10 flash kits, if you don't really know how this works, and a mech as well. But he's got 2 units of Snagger Boys, which used to be Breakers. So he's basically changed Breaker Boys. He's reduced 2 of the units to be cheaper and kind of side graded into anti-tank, like Beast Snagger Boys a little bit, right?
Mhm.
And he's got more chaff, so more Storm Boys, 4 trucks. I'm going to get to that in a second. 1 unit of 10 flash kits. Flash kits are incredible right now, of course.
Mm.
2 Gretchen, and then the standard 3 tank buster that you always see.
Mhm.
But then, importantly, he's gone with the double decker jet.
Oh, the
Oh
Dak
yeah,
Jets.
double
Oh,
decker jet.
you just know
How?
the models will be gorgeous as well because they're
Yeah, I know,
Brian's.
right? Double decker jet. It's like 611 profile, right? It's
Mhm.
What are you thinking, Vic? Are you scared of the decker jets?
Mate, it feels like the Dakar Jets arrived just for me. I'm waiting there. There's just two Dakar Jets in front of me.
You and the 27 other Eldari people.
Yep. This is a lot of shooting in this
Yeah.
list. There's a huge amount of shooting. He's dropped the Breaker Boys, like you mentioned there.
Yeah. Does he? Oh, does he completely drop them? Is he?
Yeah, there's no Breaker Boys.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, right? That is interesting.
Ooh, that's a lot of. Ooh, that's nice, actually. I like that. I like
Mate,
that.
there's less squigs in there. How many vehicles
Oh,
can he really kill?
interesting
Well,
question, Brian. You're gonna have to answer these questions
I was
for
going
us
to
soon.
answer that.
I mean, yeah, obviously it's Brian. He's gonna do fantastic as well. I think the double Jacker Jets is super spicy. We're gonna have to see how it goes because he's got 6 twin super shooters across his whole army, mate. So yeah, maybe a little bit of an overcorrection too much against Eldari, right?
Yeah, it's
Uh,
actually not needed because I think the army is already good into Eldari,
okay.
and honestly, the Breaker Boys are also good into Eldari.
Yeah, especially if
Like
you're playing
just
transports
more
too.
knobs punching stuff in the face and being right on my objectives is
Yep.
honestly potentially scarier than the Dakka Jets. Kind of with AP1 guns just doing a little bit of damage here and there.
Take 3 ups against them. Yeah.
Is it? You know what? It's super cool. Is it a mistake? I don't think it's necessarily a mistake, but I know a lot of people will be much scarier, more scared of the Breaker Boys, and I'm sure you're one of them.
Yes, I'm a lot more scared of them. However, I'm also playing mechanized, so I can reactive
Mhm.
move my important transport away from them when they come to charge me.
True.
So,
True.
but if I was playing Hammer of the Emperor, I'd be super happy to see no break boys.
Well, there you go. Maybe it's pop your transports and then Dakka jet you. Hmm,
Yeah, true, fair.
hmm,
He can definitely daggage at me. I'm still playing toughness 3 guardsmen in most of my transports as well. So,
mhm.
yeah, potentially I'm a bit lethal to that as well.
Oh, there
But
you
I mean,
go.
you get a lot of stuff in here. How many units? I don't know how many units total this is, but
I don't
obviously
think
some of
it's
them are
many
joined.
units
But
because he's got a lot of characters.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
he's probably pretty low on actual unit count, which is
Okay,
always a
yep,
weakness with orcs, in my opinion.
yep. But with the Dakka
Uh,
Jets, turn 2, come down, shoot a bunch of stuff, charge a bunch of stuff,
hmm.
Dakka Jet people, you can potentially a big tempo swing there, right?
He's tried to compensate by I think getting lots of Storm Boys in here. I think he's
Yep.
got 3 units of Storm Boys.
2 units of
Uh,
Storm Boys, yeah.
two,
But he's got
so
the Beast Snaggers on top of that as well. Yeah.
yeah, so he's trying to get a little bit of MSU chaff in there as well.
Mhm.
The lists always look kind of not much when you look at them on paper, but played correctly, this is an extremely powerful archetype.
Yep. Tactical Brigade, really
Right?
good. Cool. Why don't we go on to why don't we look at Josh Roberts' list?
Okay, one of the Bloodless
Josh.
Angels.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think him and Alex Harrison have both gone for the Blood Angels without actually any Blood Angels in order to get the
Yeah,
+1 to
yeah.
wound on Oath.
So is that how they're supposed to fix the oath thing? I don't
Well,
like, you know
they
what I
should
mean?
just make it like if you take any of the Blood Angels detachments, you don't get Oath with +1 to
Right.
wound.
Yeah.
But now they've just made it as long as you don't take any of the Blood Angels units, you still
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
+1 to wound. So
Yeah,
they
I'm
haven't
just trying to
taken any
remember.
of the unique units
Yeah,
in
you
here.
need Blood Angels. Yeah, but you can still take a Blood Angel enhancement, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, if
Um,
you still got the actual detachment.
yeah, so 2 captains, Assault and Scissor Squad, an Impulsor. So basically 2 captain squads, whatever. So he's got 1, 2, 3 JPIs, 3 Ballistas Dreadnoughts, some Infiltrators and Incursors and
Mhm.
Reavers, and then a Stern Guard squad. Oh, that's interesting. They have a lot of attacks though. Vanguard Vet with jump packs and 2 Vindicators. So it's
It's just
like
a lot of stuff.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 5-man units basically, and
Mhm.
then 5 tanks, 2 Vindicators, 3 Ballistic Dreadnoughts. So no Desolation Marines, and he's got the Reaver Lieutenant, maybe? No,
No,
he's
I
just got
think
a
two
squad of
captains.
Reavers. Okay, cool. Yeah. Just a squad of Reavers. So yeah, this is I guess Ennis was playing this originally, this type of list when he played at Nottingham.
Correct. Yep.
The Bloodless Angels, but he had Desolation Marines and the Phobos Levy back when Bridge was really popular as well. I guess this is probably a bit of a response to Eldar, right? I thought this would be good against Eldar, Vic, but
Yeah,
you were like,
I'm
nah,
I'm not
you're not too
fully
scared of it.
convinced this is good into Eldar.
Okay,
Maybe I'm wrong here. I think this is just generally good. I think it's just always going to do well in every single matchup.
sure,
But actually, if you line up Eldar profiles between, especially the specialist units, the Howling Banshees, the Fire Dragons, they actually line up super well into a lot of this stuff.
cool, yeah.
Uh,
And you
so
can pick your targets because you're quite fast, obviously, and you got a lot of transports too, right?
Exactly. So there's a little bit where the Eldar player should be able to maintain momentum here, but I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that, and I haven't tested it, so I could be very wrong with this. But
Hmm.
I personally feel like Eldar line up extremely well into this particular type of Marine archetype.
Cool.
But we'll see because Josh is not the only person running this particular archetype.
No, Alex Harrison is playing this one as well.
Yeah,
I'm feeling quite confident to this type of
do you
list.
think so? Okay,
Yeah, the Krieg heavy weapon teams are brutal against these armies in particular.
sure.
Turn 1, you can just go straight across the board, drop it in their deployment zone, and like shoot something with +1 to wound. Then
Mhm.
overwatch another target, 75 point unit. You've shot like damage 2 flamers twice. Is really really powerful. Then they still have to deal with that in the middle of nowhere. Then you just
Mm.
shoot that unit afterwards because it's in the middle of nowhere. Really big tempo swings. And then you've got like a lot of damage. I've got I think the majority of my platforms have damage too in general. So
Yeah.
yeah, then the little tanks you can kind of get Caskin into. So hopefully I'd be good against that, but we'll
Yeah,
have
I
to see
think
how.
so. I'm not fully convinced by this list archetype. I mean, Josh is nuts. I think his average score is like 95 in every single game minimum. Like he just
Yeah.
gets 100 every single game, so he's going to play it correctly and just get all his points.
Yep.
But on paper, does it line up as well as it does, let's say, into Bridgehead? I think that's the one it lines up into beautifully.
Yes, for sure.
I think there are
Yep.
a lot of armies that it doesn't necessarily line up perfectly into.
Yep. I think maybe people have overcompensated for Bridgehead a little bit
Mm.
because a lot of
Bridgehead
people
and
thought,
Eldar, because they can do
yeah,
both in one go.
for sure, yeah. And I think a lot of people thought Bridgehead was going to be really popular. I thought it was going to be more popular than it is, and I thought Guard would also be more popular. But I think a lot of people have been struggling with that archetype a little bit. It's not very player friendly, I think, Bridgehead, if you're just stepping into it. Now, a lot of my
Mm.
clients I've advised play Hammer of the Emperor, learn the fundamentals. You'll be really good that way.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we've looked at Brian. We've looked at. I wonder what. Say, for example, we've looked at Slanesh demons. What else have we looked at in terms of the chart? Custodies and Necrons are quite high. What about? I is Nathan Roberts playing the tournament? We'll have to see.
Is
Uh,
he on Nids? He would be a good one for that.
yes. He's on Cal Space Marines. Oh, of course,
Oh,
yeah.
that's a good one. Let's do
Um,
that.
yeah. So Nathan is playing Renegade Raiders,
Renegade.
but he's
Oh,
playing
okay. This is going to be
Thickness.
weirder
So
than I
yes,
expected.
this is thick. One unit of 10
Right.
possessed, three units of two obliterators, two vindicators, three preds, and then a whole bunch of bikers and about Abaddon. So
Where's the rest of the list? What's
yeah,
going on?
there's not a lot else, but man, he's got
Got
like
twos.
one, two, three, four,
There's
five.
really
I mean,
not much in there.
3, 5, 8, 9, 10. He's got like 13 units total. Some of them are quite powerful, but
Yeah.
there's not a lot to be on your home backfield point, which, you know.
He is. I don't know if this is a list that he's expecting to pick an open board on, because it would work there.
uh,
That's an
yeah, well,
interesting
I
one.
mean, the possessed are still really good, but
Yep.
that is a lot of obliterators. God damn.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see. I mean, he's got Abaddon, so you don't need to play it in what's it call it detachment. Uh, the oath
Yeah.
detachment.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Veterans of Long War. So yeah, I mean, to be fair though, maybe you can just come down with obliterators and
Mhm.
shoot Aeldari models off the board with 4 rerolls to hit.
I mean, so I'm gonna say something about this. Everyone's thinking about Eldar,
Yeah, sure.
but
Yeah,
guys, literally, if you throw guardsmen into combat with Eldar, the Eldar die.
yeah,
So that's the scale we're working on
of
here.
course.
Everything kills the Eldar.
Yeah.
Actually, the thing that Eldar hate the most is when you have so much stuff that they just can't get through everything. Be it
Yep.
a stat check or like Dave's got 23 units, you're
Hmm.
gonna end up with more units than the Eldar by the time the game ends, and that's how they
Yep.
lose the game. So.
Especially if
Uh,
you can take some aggressive lines as well against them.
yeah, I wouldn't focus too much on killing the Eldar, but I focus on actually playing your game because
Exactly
everything
right.
you have kills the Eldar.
And whenever you're playing against Eldar, you need to be thinking, how can I, if I just react, if I let them react to everything I do, and let them be proactive. Sorry, if I react to everything they do and they're always proactive, I will just lose.
Mhm.
So you need to find proactive lines. Doesn't really matter what weapon profiles you have. If you can find some proactive lines, then it's usually very good
Yeah,
against them.
and you and Brian have done that really well because the Daka Jets find a line where they get in behind the Eldar, and you've
Yep.
got your transports which get in behind the Eldar as well. So,
Yeah, of course.
those are the routes to take.
Yeah, I'm just looking up any other
It would be nice
actuals.
to see maybe Tony's list, Tony Chu.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tony Chu.
well,
So
just
this
to do a
is
little comparison
another
on another Yanari list.
Yanari list. Here we go.
Because I know a lot of people asked about this because Tony's got some shining spears in, and everyone loves shining spears.
Yes. So
So
he has got the Incarn and two
he,
Autarchs.
his list is very clean. So he's got the two Autarchs going in with Howling Banshees. He's got the
Cool.
Yunkan instead of Ivrain. Still triple Fire Dragons with the Fire Pikes. I think it's only two Howling Banshee units. If you scroll down a touch more, no,
Three.
three. So he
Cool.
has got three, and he's got two units of Shining Spears. Yep,
Okay.
two Striking Scorpions, one Warlock Skyrunner, which now doesn't have the character keyword. It's FAQ'd out, so it's just a 45-point not
Okay.
character, which is great.
Yep.
And then he's got three units of Warp Spiders, but instead of going for things like Swooping Hawks, he's gone for two units of Yanari Reavers, I think, or is it
Yeah.
three?
Three
Three
units of
units of
Reavers.
Reavers.
I think Reavers are pretty good actually.
They're okay. 65 points is on the edge of being okay.
Yeah, they're
Um,
quite big. They're quite large models, and they can rotate for free. So you can
hmm.
actually move block better than with them than you anticipate a lot of the time. I feel.
Yeah, they're okay. There's only three models, so you're better off still with a 5-man kind of doing the move block.
Sure. Yeah, that's
um,
fair. Yeah.
overall, but they're all right, and that's kind of cool.
Cool.
But yeah, it's a clean list. It's
A
got
lot of
all the
units.
elements. I think it's doing the same thing I'm trying to do, just without transports and just with a
Yep.
little bit more or different stuff.
Hmm.
Only a single wave serpent in there. I feel like when I read my list and I read his list, my list just has more stuff in it. But I
Sure. Yeah.
think people will look at his list and be like, "Oh, it's got more damage than my list,"
Hmm.
which is perfectly fine. So
Yeah.
I would say I personally think the Shining Spears aren't the best. They can't use the reroll ones to hit in melee stratagem, which is heartbreaking
Wait.
because
What?
it's locked to infantry,
Yeah.
and they're mounted, so they don't get any rerolls in this detachment,
Oh, okay.
which is a
Huh.
disaster. So really, if you play on averages, they kind of don't do anything, to be honest, but they're
Right. Yeah.
just fast.
Oh, okay. That's a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're quite expensive for what you pay for as well. Um.
Yeah, I think the Art of War guys, I think Quinton had 6 Shining Spears in his list because he was planning on rapid ingressing, lethal intent, hitting the reroll ones to hit until
Yeah.
it was found out that you can't do reroll
Oh,
ones
okay.
to hit on them.
Lame. They're huge
Yeah,
models as well. Like, oh my god.
they're a
Like,
Space Marine on a stick, to be honest.
yeah. What about this list, mate? Danny Emerson coming with hyper thick, 2 Tesseract Bolts, 2 Doomsday Arcs, and the Silent King.
Is this good? Does this work, Dave? Is this
I, don't, I
what?
mean, I don't think so, but man, that's one hell of a list. Two
Beautiful.
Tesseract Bolts, Silent King. Like, come at me, bro. In Hypercrypt. It'll be interesting to see how that one goes. I mean, that is
I look at this.
some
He's got
big
chaff.
transporting.
He's got infantry. He's got anti-tank, anti-infantry. It's perfect.
I mean, yeah, he's got living models, man. Living units. You'll roast these units off really quick with Eldar, and then he'll just have some Doomsday Arcs. He'll have 5 models, and then it'll be fun. Sorry, I'm not picking on Daddy. I just think that's a great list.
Danny's
Just,
great. He always does well with this, to be
yeah,
fair.
that's hilarious. Yeah, so I guess
Fantastic.
that's the meta on how we were looking at it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
um, that's what we were thinking about. I guess we've kind of gone over what we thought was at the top.
Hmm.
What do you think will? I mean, it's really hard to say. Okay, I'm going to say this now because a user, someone asked us about the question. This question
Yeah, we
is:
should do the
how could we
questions for
change the
sure.
tournament to not? How can we change the tournament to
Hmm.
not have so many undefeated players? Because
Hmm.
I'm getting a little bit sick of it. And
You've
in
got a
all
good solution,
honesty,
haven't you?
yeah, but like honestly, the tournaments are growing year on year, and
Hmm.
previously in the previous years, this wasn't really a problem, right? But
Hmm.
I think every single tournament this year will probably be like 280 to 300 players, which the majority of players will go undefeated, will not play the top cut.
Hmm.
I don't think that's a healthy competitive format. That's just me. It just incentivizes playing kind of skewer lists, getting a good win path, and getting in there. So I think something needs to get done about that. I personally think that they should have like a seeded tournament, either based on like previous UKTC rankings, split it into like Alpha Omega or something like that. I know that would mean that I'd have to have 4 tables instead of 2 on the final cut. Like, I don't think that's that big of a deal. Logistically, I'm sure they can sort that out, considering they've got way more players attending them. That's just my gripe. But I mean, Nottingham obviously we had like 12 undefeated or something like that, which was just obviously ridiculous. Like, I don't think it's the pinnacle of Warhammer to have to score only drop 18 points to make the final cut in a tournament. Like, that's not really determining who's the best singles player in my or best player in the tournament, in my opinion. But
Hmm.
I mean, that's just me.
Yep.
I don't have to. I would like to see some solution because this has been a problem that's been around for quite a while now.
Yep. Yep.
So
I hear you, man.
user had a question about that, and then we've got a couple more. I'm just going to skim through the questions really quick. Uh, okay, T sons and sisters,
Oh,
obviously we're the lowest at the moment. Are these
yeah.
are they? Is that a real representation, Vic?
So
Or
T-Suns are doing okay. In terms of popularity, yes, but
yeah,
statistically they're doing okay because the T-Suns players are genius brain level.
sure, yeah,
But
Gigabrain,
I completely understand this because a lot of people who play these armies, I think, are not pure faction specialists. I think
sure.
Sisters is sad. It's a sad story because they do have faction specialists, but T-Suns players tend to bounce around other things. I'm a fleeting T-Suns and Sisters player as well.
Me
And
too.
yeah, exactly, and they are an army that gets a lot of negative opinion because of their army mechanics,
Yep,
so they've been over nerfed on both of them here. I
yep.
think they lose to almost everything in the meta. personally.
Yes. Yeah. It's
I
tough.
could look up this list and I can't really see positive matchups for armies which are so heavily weakened at the moment,
Yep.
especially sisters. At least T-Sons have a chance. But sisters really is brutal what they did.
Yeah, what are sisters win against? It's tough. You just have
you
to field stuff, and like
Yeah,
if you've
you
got
play
stuff.
Hallowed Martyrs, you just play primary and secondary. If you
Yep.
go back through my members' videos, I did a Hallowed Martyrs deep dive
Hmm.
before the Miracle Dice changes. The macro strategy is exactly the same now. And the list design is pretty much exactly the same as well. You just get your canonesses, jump them back up on objectives, and
Hmm.
you just play off immolators and stuff inside of it.
Yep.
And you just hope you score more than your opponent. You
Yep.
force concentrate to try and kill things if they overextend, and then you just try and play for your 3-2 as best as you can.
Yep. And you hope that
Um,
your opponent doesn't just like disrespect you and put stuff on the objective and try and hold it at all costs. And then you're like, oh, damn.
yeah. If your opponent is competent in trading up and seeing the weaknesses of the Sisters army, they can really disrespect and kill you quite quickly,
Yep.
sadly.
There we go.
Yeah.
One a guy called Guinea Pig in our chat was asking like Wind Rider lists. There was obviously the French list at Pyro Cup with Wind
Yep.
Riders that was really popular. I mean, that wasn't
Mhm.
the Wind Rider detachment, right? That was Yanari, but with a lot of Wind Runners, right? A lot
No,
of people have
it
been
was
really big.
actually the Wind Rider host.
Oh shit! Damn, what a
Yeah, there's
beast.
only two Yanari lists, and there
Right.
was an
Sorry.
actual Wind Rider host.
So what's the story with Wind Riders? Like, is it going to translate to like a singles environment very well? Do you think
Mm,
UKTC, terrain? Is it like a WTC terrain thing? Is it the fact that no one's probably played against it and was like, oh my god, these things actually do crazy damage? Like,
yeah.
what? What?
I think
Yeah.
the output is really high on Wind
Okay.
Rider Host. They're CP hungry, output high, extremely fragile.
Okay.
Um, so I don't think they do well in a singles environment because they do the first hit and they really can't take the hit back.
Yep.
UKTC is not a good format for them.
Okay.
For that, because when they do engage with something, it's very easy to engage back in UKTC. It's easy to cover all of your army with any of your long range shooting threats.
Sure.
So I personally think Wind Rider Host is not going to do as well as Aspect Host and Yanari for singles. For teams, though, it's a different story.
Ooh.
There's
Okay.
some spice there because you can get some matchups that are quite positive.
Okay.
Saying that, I think people, I've been like chatting a little bit with kind of the internationally pyre people, and I think Wind Rider Host is also going to fall off a little bit in popularity because the Eldar matrices are not super hot into the top of the meta. And
Okay.
Wind Rider Host, particularly, is a very polarized matrix that actually you can just achieve the same thing with Yanari,
Yep.
but just do it better into all of your matchups.
Cool. Yeah.
So,
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, Wind
It's
Rider
cool to
Host is
see.
fun.
It's cool to see that there's quite a good diversity. Like
Mhm,
I would say that the Guard and Eldari books
mhm,
are probably some of the better designed books, and
mhm,
it's not immediately obvious which detachment is best. We've got people playing a range of things. I know other top Guard players that are not playing like mechanized. I mean, I don't think that's the best, but I think it's
mhm.
really fun and very strong. I think I can go 5-0 for sure. And the Eldari Codex is very similar, right? You've
Yep.
got like Windrider Attachment, you've got Yanari, Aspect Host, right? So a lot better than what has been designed in the past in terms of like clearly that's the best one, right? Like,
Yep.
boom, go
Internal
play that.
balance is brilliant.
Yep, awesome to see. I mean, the balance in the mid is quite good right now. We'll finish on one final question from Adam, which was, how do you both see Eldar and Guard defining the UKTC meta? Are there any interesting bits of tech you've seen or designed to meet the new meta of Eldar and Guard books? I think one takeaway would be that it's a little bit underwhelming, the splash that's been made, right?
Mm,
I think. Well, I was expecting more Eldari personally. I was expecting more guard as well, but the meta is quite balanced now, where you can't actually go to one of these codexes and just start winning and cranking with it, right?
mhm. Yep.
So,
I think so. I think there's never been a time where your player skill dictates the outcome of
mm,
your results as much as at the moment because there's like 10 different factions you can succeed with pretty much.
yep,
There are some which are a little stronger than others on paper, but really, like if you play well, you're going to do well. And
yep.
it's going to be regardless of the faction choice you made. And I think Eldar and Guard fit quite well into that, even if they're slightly on the stronger end of it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I would totally agree. And the impact on the meta that's going to have is probably more around top players will continue just to do well because they are just top players, regardless if I'm playing Inari or you're playing Guard or whatever like that, right? Like I'm sure we could both play Custodes and go 5-0, right? Um, so yeah, there we go. There we have it. That's been the episode today. Vic, any kind of closing thoughts? What are your thoughts? Are you excited to go whip out the new book?
Oh, yes. Finally, we get to put the new Eldar Codex, some new Eldar models as well. I've been
Yeah.
painting up some Exarchs basically for every single squad.
Oh, nice.
And the models have been really nice. So
Cool.
I'm very excited to put it all on the table and play with. It almost feels like a while since I played with an army that actually feels strong.
Okay. Yeah.
I had a little bit of a tough time with the sisters, before they even got the last nerf. That army was not feeling so hot. The
Yeah.
Index Eldar did not feel so hot. So I'm
Yep.
glad to be back on a little bit of power here.
Oof.
So I'm feeling confident and excited. What about yourself,
Nice.
Dave?
Awesome. I'm feeling super excited to play some, just some random units. I've got 10 Rattlings. So, hey, what are you going to do, bro? They can fire and fade out of a transport. They're basically
Absolutely.
Dark Reapers.
They are,
Um,
somehow.
um, yeah, I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to play it. Part of me kind of wishes I'd played Hammer, but I know
Mhm.
that if I go down a different win path run, you're just going to be like happy either way. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
one's good against other stuff, one's good against other stuff. So I'll probably play Hammer at South Coast or play it at another tournament sometime soon. So no, I'm really happy with where I landed. I think hopefully people don't really know what my army does, and I can just jump in and out of my transports and do stuff.
Yeah.
The whole game. So we'll see.
Fantastic. I'm super excited to see your game versus Brian as well. I think that's going to be a
Yes.
mandatory viewing for
Oof.
everyone.
Mandatory viewing.
So yeah,
Should be Thursday night.
make sure to check out the membership side for that one for sure.
Spicy.
And yeah, check out our deep dives on our list because we spend half an hour going through every detail.
Nice. There we go.
Membership, and make
Awesome.
sure to subscribe for the Discord as well at Phoenix
Yeah.
Sword level.
You know what we should do? I'm thinking about it now. We
Mm.
should get you and Boris on the podcast to talk about the Emperor's Children release as well. Because
Oh
you're both big
yes.
fans of that. That'd be
Oh,
great, wouldn't it?
can't wait. Yeah, the
Yeah, there we go.
leaks are starting to come in as
Oh,
well. Oh.
spicy. There we go. Plenty of stuff to look forward to. This has been episode of the main podcast,
67.
67, man. We broke 105 episodes the other
Yeah.
day, 4K
Yeah.
subscribers, tons of people on the Discord. Get in there if you like to chat. That's the best. That's the best way to reach us these days.
Fantastic.
All right.
See you all next time by the fireside. Take care, guys.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening to the 40k Fireside. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, drop us a comment, check out the YouTube members area, and we look forward to seeing you again next time by the Fireside.